Greetings, citizens. I am your host, Jay Voodoo Child, and this is Manor Lords. We are doing a recap and course correction video for our Perfect May video, or excuse me, Perfect March video. And, certainly there were some things that I missed out. Like, I never purchased the ox. So, that's going to slow me down for the kind of next phase because I only have one ox moving logs back and forth. And the initial setup is just stack everything on top of your starting location. And that way there's just no amount of travel. But now we're getting into the second phase. I want to start positioning things where they're going to finally be and to kind of create the efficiencies for those operations. So I'm going to put the woodcutters over here. I'm going to put a charcoal kiln right next to it, a warehouse, and a trade post, all in this little section. And they're just going to work this area, try and clear out this clay, and have a short route to the trader. Over here, I'm going to set up, I'm going to have the hunter's camp down here. I'm going to have probably two, at least, forger huts, like right here. And then the granary in between. I'm going to have leather working right here. And, maybe keep a warehouse kind of in this area. These are just starter homes. Now, getting into the recap zone, I do want to show you that we do have enough space for extensions for anything that we were building off of the King's Road. Now, maybe some of the end pieces are going to be wonky, but that just adds character to my town. So we're good there. Also, we managed to open up the origin development during March. And because we have a rich iron, I'm more than likely going to want to go for Nuremberg prospectors for the extra helmets and mail and no collapse on mines. That's probably going to be the most important things. That way I can stack 4 mines on top of that thing and just have 16 people, families working it all the time. And then trade routes for iron and salt are free to establish. So basically I can get free salt coming into, well, not free salt coming into, but basically to set up the route. It's not going to cost me anything. So I can just have traders bringing in salt when I get pork up and running. And pork will probably be my main extension for all of my iron mine workers and that sort of thing. And the downside is increased costs on the retinues, and this is something that I like to do, so this kind of hurts me. But I don't need this other stuff for quite some time. And so hopefully I'm going to get trade up and running, and then maybe I'll just do a month of just massive conversion over to from regional wealth to personal wealth, and then purchase all those upgrades and whatnot. I'm not sure whether it applies to the expansion or just the armor upgrades. I'm thinking that is the expansion. So expand them out to 24 and then get the origin and then start working the bonuses for that. So another thing is kind of a mistake is my ox is abandoned right now. And I set up someone. All right, so I found out that the ox was with the one of the unoccupied people. I want to say, or I forget who had it. But anyway, I decided to move that family into the warehouse or the storehouse, and they abandoned the ox and started to pick up a cart instead. And so the one log that I have left right here is supposed to be going to this forage hut. And again, I'm just trying to build nearest to the area. But I'm thinking because of this delay, I'm going to actually put this in the final location. And so let me just kind of build out the road. And let's see if I can kind of dip this in here. I guess it really doesn't matter how many trees I uproot because I'm not coming in here. So I can just build on top of this stuff. So put one here and one over here. But I need to free up this log. So I've just wasted a little bit of time with people flattening that ground. And also we can just kind of build across the street there. So we got that set up. And so whenever someone does, I'm going to have a longer trip there, but I'm going to have a much shorter trip here. And I've got the carts coming in. So these are going to be 4 people right here. I'm going to have the hunter and the 4 people from the logging camp come over and pick berries because this is nearly at its max. It was like 1 away. So I will probably lose some berries in the next uptake. But that's okay. So nearly perfect. Now I am going to put I guess more important thing to see is how many trees will get knocked down. So it's going to be there. So let's build a little road here. Oop. So anyway, I'm going to build a road in down here. All right. So no trees are going to come down there. And no trees are going to be uprooted there. And that way they can start working at clearing out this area and, like I said, getting back into the clay. Because I have delayed in the ox. In fact, let me get that ordered right now. So 20 goes there. I'm saving this 30 for unlocking the trade route for charcoal. And then that's going to be my main revenue source. And so instead of building the next housing where I want it, I'm just going to go ahead and start looking at plots without extensions back in here. So yeah. And this area's been cleaned out of wood. So, but again, concentrating everything in this starting camp location and just having as few steps as possible to get into just establishing what is needed for the next phase. I do not think I will be able to get into the 60 percentiles during the month of April to kind of catch that second population right at the end, particularly since I'm already 8 days into it and I don't have any logs to spare. So let's go ahead and move these people over. And I do a lot of moving this way. So our hunting camp is full here. And the default is 12. And that seems fine for me. And so we're almost at 12. Oh, I've got no goods on the ground, so all the warning for the rain, I'm not going to lose any supplies from that. I might lose supplies to a bandit raid, and at this point, I'm hoping it's charcoal, because that just means a little less money. But all these items right here are fairly important to me. Where are the tools? I guess the tools are in wagons right now. Now, we managed to get 14 firewood converted into the 28 charcoal. So 6 got used. 5 for last month, and then 1 got used right at the beginning of the month. And so the next 5 or 6 that get pulled are going to be from charcoal. So for me, having the extra workforce is more beneficial to me than as far as timing and getting things built properly and quickly in order to have these perfect months than the loss of the 6 firewood, which would be 36 silver at some point when I start trading down the road. You know, having that delay of or loss of income, if you will, is far less important than the 50% workforce that's much sooner going for me. So that's part of the recap there, and kind of why I'm deciding to go with the arrangement. I still like the granary being a part of that initial 8, but the last building in there, just because of those stone requirements. And one of the other things that I'm thinking about is I've got 10 stones left over, so I can put a granary down in here, you know, when I get this up and running. That way this stuff is just right across the street from one another. And, the hunting grounds have no log requirement. So, I can just start putting that down now. But I will apparently lose. So yeah, maybe it's going to go right there, and then I'll have the granary right across the street. And then 2, possibly 4 huts all right there going to grab berries. So I can set up a second granary right now with those 10 rough stones and still keep this up and running to work the marketplace. Now, what was my other thought? So the stone is very close to the town. So I can just get this up and running. And that's going to require some boards or planks. So, when I get into that church phase, when I get into the manor house, I'll have nearby stones right here, even with the double granary. So, but if I decided this, to get the church as soon as possible, because I may need that bonus to happiness or approval, then I may destroy that here. I've got the warehouse right next door to it, and maybe this is the location for the church. So there's all kinds of possibilities and flexibilities, and this is like the first commitment to working the map as it is that I've gone to. Now, as far as origins, like I said, I'm probably going to go for this one down here. If I don't have an iron deposit, this is something I like a lot. And because I completed my 5th house before the end of the first month, if I'd selected this, I would have gotten 5 region wealth for having this in place at the start of April. But since I'm going in a different direction based on the nodes that I have on this particular map, I'm going to, don't need that. And also I'm going to delay, again, choosing that origin until the negative aspect doesn't really matter to me. And also this entire woods, I'm going to keep going there. And as far as my environment, 66%. This is probably going to go down to 60 after I get done clearing out the iron and the big patch for over by the clay. But still, it's going to be some nice bonuses for, let's see here, tannery, which is nice because I'll be using that. So, 60% go there. More berries, that's going to be nice. And pigs. And like I said, pigs are going to be big because I'm choosing the no setup costs for salt imports. So I'll just let traders bring in some salt for me, and I'll have pigs to make sausages out of, a butcher. So lots of fun things coming up. But let's see how much we can get done in April. Maybe there is a way to squeak by without having the church. Now, one thing I did forget about is the possibility of having approval based on having a water supply. And let's see where I can get that going. So I can even pop it in right here now. Or pop it here. Yeah, this is probably where it's going to go, next to the marketplace. And relatively close by to the bulk of my housing. So yeah, that is the recap. And I hope you got something from this and some of my kind of more detailed thoughts about, what happened in March, and things I did right, things I did wrong, and just how the outcome is setting me up for the steamroll of trying to get 2 populations per month as quickly as possible. And having that population just allows me to do so much more, and so it's an exponential growth component that I'm trying to maximize in with this build and approach. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribe, and click the bell icon to be notified when I drop the next videos in this series, Phase 2, The Perfect April. And we'll see what I can get done during that, and whether the payoff will be in May, because of the setup I did in March and April. So until then, thank you very much. Please share with me comments you have on this approach, things that I have still done wrong that I haven't mentioned that you can spot. Constructive conversations are always welcome. Take care, everyone. Bye.